School bullies targeted a quiet, weak black girl until a white girl stepped in and taught them a lesson. They'd never forget the morning sun in Lincoln. Georgia didn't feel like warmth. It felt like a lie. The wind had a bite to it, sharp against 16-year-old Ella Thompson's face as she walked her usual path to school. Her shoes were scuffed, her hoodie oversized, and her ponytail loose enough to say she didn't care, but tight enough to show she wasn't letting herself unravel. At least, not yet. Her canvas backpack bounced slightly against her spine, light with only what she needed. A few notebooks, a calculator with a cracked screen, and a water bottle that always leaked a little when tilted too far. Ella preferred to move through her days like background noise, quiet, non-threatening, invisible. It was a survival tactic she learned early, especially after her brother Nate's accident. Ever since the car hit him and left him in a wheelchair, their house had been more about function than joy. She helped push him to therapy, warmed his meals, read his textbooks aloud on bad days, and watched her mother break slowly under the weight of late-night shifts and quiet grief. Ella knew her place in the world, supportive, silent, unseen. She wasn't planning on breaking that rule until she saw them. It started like most ugly things do, with a laugh. Just ahead, near the front steps of Lincoln High, 3 boys in varsity jackets were standing in a loose triangle around a girl. Chase Dyer, Brady Cole, Landon Reeves. Their names carried weight in that town, same as their fathers, a sheriff's nephew, a state rep's son, and the local bank manager's golden child. They had reputations, and not the kind that got them detention. Their trouble never stuck. Their swagger always made sense. And the girl? Ella no la conocía bien. Just a name. Nia Brooks. New from Atlanta. Black. Quiet. Smart. Always alone, but never looking lonely. Nia walked like someone who had already survived worse than whispers and stare-downs. That confidence didn't sit well with the boys who needed to be the loudest people in the room. Chase stepped into her path. "Where's your hall pass, Miss Ivy League?" His voice cut through the morning air like a paper cut, small but sharp. A couple of students inside turned to look through the glass, but did nothing. Brady flanked her on the right. Landon drifted to the back, smirking like this was routine. Nia adjusted her grip on her backpack and tried to keep walking. That was her mistake. Brady stepped in front, blocking her again. Chase leaned in. Ella couldn't hear every word, but she saw the shift. The way Nia's shoulders tightened, her fingers clenched. Then, like flicking a switch, Brady shoved her hard. Nia fell sideways, her bag flying off her shoulder, knees cracking against the concrete. Her hand scraped against the sidewalk, and her sock darkened with blood near the ankle. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat there, stunned but not broken, and started gathering her things with deliberate slowness. The boys laughed. Chase clapped. Landon fake-clutched his chest like he was witnessing tragedy. From inside the building, 2 staff members watched but didn't move. One turned away. The other sipped coffee. Security remained in his SUV, distracted by whatever was on his phone. No one helped, and that hurt worse than the fall. Ella stopped walking. She was 10 steps away. 10 steps from pretending she hadn't seen anything. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Don't draw attention to yourself. Don't get involved. People like us can't afford it." Ella's fingers tightened around her backpack straps. Her lungs felt tight, her legs locked. But then Nia looked up. Their eyes met. Not a plea, not anger, just expectation. Not "help me," but "you saw it. What now?" Ella felt her throat close up. Her heartbeat sounded like footsteps echoing inside her ears. And she knew. If she walked away now, she'd carry that moment forever. 10 minutes later, After the bell rang and the boys disappeared into the cafeteria, Ella found Nia alone by the flagpole, dabbing at her knee with a napkin that looked too thin to matter. The blood had stopped, but the silence hadn't. "You okay?" Ella asked. Nia looked up, surprised. "Yeah," she said, "just a scrape." "Can I sit?" Nia gave a half shrug. "Sure." They sat for a while, neither speaking. Then Ella said, "You know how to throw a punch?" Nia gave her a look. "What? Are you offering lessons?" Ella no respondio. She reached up, retied her ponytail tighter, eyes scanning the field until she saw them. Chase, Brady, and Landon, leaning against the vending machines behind the gym, laughing like kings in a kingdom that never questioned them. Ella stood, slipped off her backpack, and handed it to Nia. "Hold this." "Wait, what are you?" But Ella was already walking. And this time, she didn't look back. Ella no sabía qué estaba haciendo. She just knew her feet kept moving. Every step across the field toward the vending machines felt louder than it should have. She wasn't shaking, not yet, but her chest was a knot of everything she had ever swallowed. The things she didn't say when teachers ignored her, when boys looked past her, when people at church made jokes about her brother's wheelchair and expected her to laugh along. All of it was rising now, hot and sharp, and it had nowhere else to go. The boys saw her coming. Chase nudged Brady and grinned. Landon turned, raised an eyebrow, and leaned against the vending machine like this was entertainment. Ella stopped 5 feet from them, her hands clenched so tightly, her fingernails left crescents in her palms. "Well, well," Brady said. "Look who found her voice." Chase gave her a slow, amused look. "Thought you were more the silent type, Thompson. What's this about? You finally want some attention?" Ella's voice came out steady. "You think what you did this morning was funny?" "It was a joke," Landon said casually. She tripped. "You know how clumsy some people can be." Chase smirked. "Don't take things so seriously. She's fine." "No," Ella said. "You shoved her. All 3 of you surrounded her, and you shoved her to the ground. And you laughed." Brady crossed his arms. "So what? You gonna tell a teacher? Write a poem? Start a TikTok?" Ella's gaze didn't waver. "I don't have to. The school has security cameras at the front steps. You're all on them." It was a bluff. She didn't know if the cameras even worked. She didn't care. She needed them to believe it, just long enough for the truth to crack through whatever armor their names had bought them. Landon let out a soft laugh, but it didn't reach his eyes. "That's cute. You think anyone's gonna do anything about it?" Ella didn't blink. "Try me." For a second, no one moved. Then Chase took a step forward. Just one, his grin gone. "You think you're some kind of hero now? You really want to stick your neck out for someone who wouldn't even do the same for you?" Ella's pulse thudded. "I think you're scared of people who don't back down." He raised his hand, not a full motion, just enough to make her flinch. But before he could take it any further, a voice broke the air behind them. "Don't." It wasn't loud, but it was final. They all turned. Coach Redmond stood a few yards away, gym bag slung over one shoulder, his expression unreadable but razor-sharp. He wasn't the kind of teacher who gave inspirational speeches. He didn't need to. He ran track like a drill sergeant and cut anyone who couldn't keep pace. He didn't yell. He enforced. "You touch her," he said, eyes on Chase, "and you're off the team. I don't just mean suspended. I mean gone. You understand me?" Chase hesitated. His jaw worked, but he backed off, slowly. Brady muttered something under his breath and turned away. Landon followed without a word. Ella didn't move until they were gone. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, then turned, and there was Nia, standing halfway across the field, still holding Ella's backpack, eyes wide. Nia walked over slowly, holding the bag out like it was something fragile. "Why'd you do that?" she asked quietly. Ella took it, slinging it over one shoulder. Her voice was tired but clear. "Because someone should have." They stood there for a long moment, not saying anything else. The wind picked up, stirring the flag above them. Somewhere nearby, the final bell rang, distant and irrelevant. That afternoon, Ella got called to the front office, not for detention, not for a warning. Principal Henderson, a silver-haired woman with sharp eyes and a desk too tidy to trust, looked at her over the rim of her glasses and asked, "Is what Miss Brooks told the front desk true?" Ella assented. "Every word." The principal sighed. "Those boys, we've had complaints before, but nothing ever stuck." "This time," Ella said, "you don't have to wait for it to stick." Principal Henderson studied her, then leaned back in her chair. "You did a brave thing. But I want you to understand, it's not your job to fix what's broken in this school." Ella stood. "Maybe not. But I'm not going to be part of breaking it either." That night, while the town settled into its quiet routines, Ella sat at her desk staring at an open notebook. Her math homework sat untouched. Instead, she wrote a single line across the top of a blank page, something she didn't even realize she believed until she saw it in ink. Some days, courage is just refusing to stay quiet. By Wednesday morning, the silence around Ella had changed. Not empty, not passive, watchful. The kind of silence that carries weight, that hums under the surface like something about to snap. In the hallways, people looked at her longer than they used to, some curious, others cautious, a few with thinly disguised contempt. A group of sophomore boys stopped talking altogether when she walked past. One of them stared too long before muttering, "Justice warrior," just loud enough for her to hear. She didn't flinch, but it wasn't just in the hallways. In second period, her phone buzzed during class. Then again, then again. She ignored it at first, until she caught Nia's glance from across the room. Something in her expression said, "Check it." Ella waited until class ended. She slipped into the nearest restroom stall and unlocked her phone. 17 unread notifications, all pointing to the same thing, a video. Someone had filmed her confrontation with Chase and the others near the vending machines. A grainy, zoomed-in clip, posted to a private student Instagram account called @LincolnLeaks. It started with her walking across the field, then cut to her standing in front of them, fists clenched. But the audio was distorted. No context, no voices. The caption read, "When being loud is your whole personality." Below it, the comments bloomed like mold. Who does she think she is? Oh, look, white savior syndrome strikes again. LMAO, she really thinks she's Katniss. This is what happens when teachers' pets watch too much Netflix. A few tried to defend her, short comments like, "Y'all weren't there," or "She literally helped someone." But they were drowned out, downvoted, or met with eye-roll emojis and gifs of slow claps. Ella sat there frozen, phone in her lap, heart sinking. By lunchtime, the video had made its way onto Snapchat, and someone had layered it with music. A dramatic, over-the-top instrumental piece. The title now read, "Ella versus the Populars, a Lincoln High production." It was ridiculous. It was cruel. And worst of all, it was spreading. When she met Nia by the flagpole, Nia didn't say, "I told you so." She didn't even mention the video. Instead, she handed Ella a pack of Twizzlers. "Peace offering?" she said. Ella took one, chewing slowly. "They really think I did it for attention." Nia shrugged. "People get nervous when silence breaks." "They think I was trying to be a hero," Ella said, "like I was performing." Well, Nia said, you did perform. You performed not turning your back. That scares the hell out of people used to looking away. Ella se inclinó hacia atrás contra la pared, sus brazos plegados apretados. I didn't ask to be a symbol. You don't have to, Nia replied. That's how symbols work. People assign meaning. You just exist. That night, Ella showed the video to her brother, Nate. He watched it quietly, without pausing, without smirking. When it ended, he handed the phone back and said, "You look like you meant every second of it." "I did," she whispered, "but now I feel like I made everything worse." "Worse for who?" he asked. "Them? Or you?" She didn't answer. He leaned forward in his chair. "Ella, you've spent your whole life making sure you never stood out. You spent 2 years trying to erase yourself for our family. But now, someone saw you. And the second they saw you, they tried to shove you back into the shadows. That's not your failure, that's theirs." She didn't cry, but she didn't sleep much either. By Thursday, the video had begun to lose traction. A new rumor took its place. Someone had crashed a golf cart behind the science building, and attention, as always, shifted toward fresh chaos. But the residue remained. Ella noticed a girl she'd never spoken to drop a sticky note into her locker between periods. It read, "Thank you for standing up for her." Some of us notice. She folded it carefully and tucked it into her wallet. But not everyone stayed silent. That afternoon, as she crossed the quad, she overheard a group of students near the bleachers. "She only did it because the girl was black," one voice said. "She's just trying to prove she's not racist." Another, "Guarantee if it was one of us, she'd keep walking." Ella stopped. She turned, but Nia's voice came from behind. "Let them talk." Ella faced her. "They don't even know me. They don't want to." The truth of that hit harder than anything else that week. They walked side by side to 7th period, not speaking. But Ella felt something different in Nia's presence. Not comfort, not validation, just steadiness. Like a hand pressed gently to her spine saying, "Keep walking." And she did. Friday afternoon arrived with a heaviness that clung to the walls of Lincoln High like humidity after rain. The hallways buzzed with end-of-week energy, but beneath the usual noise, something more volatile simmered. Ella Thompson moved through the crowd with her backpack slung low and earbuds tucked in, hoping for a quiet path to the library. She didn't get far. The sound hit her like a wall. Urgent, rising voices, not laughter or shouting, but fear. She pulled out her earbuds just as students started running, some shouting, others backing away from something near the east stairwell. Ella pushed her way through the forming circle. Inside it, a boy sat on the floor, holding his face as blood streamed from his nose. His eyes blinked rapidly, dazed. Another boy stood over him, Logan Reeves. His fists were still clenched, his chest heaving. For a second, no one said anything. Then came the noise. "He hit him!" someone screamed. "He snapped!" another voice said. "The other kid threw something at him first," a girl cried from the back, but the crowd had already decided who was guilty. A teacher arrived with the assistant principal and 2 campus aides. They barked orders, separated the students, and within minutes, Logan was being restrained by security. He didn't resist. He didn't even speak. But Ella saw it. His face wasn't full of anger or triumph. It was the face of someone who'd already accepted how the story would end. The crowd parted as he was led away in cuffs, and the hallway buzzed louder than ever, not with questions, but with judgment. By 7th period, the video had already surfaced. Of course, someone had recorded it, but only the end. A 15-second clip of Logan throwing a punch, no context, no sound from before, posted with the caption, And here comes the real Logan. The comments were vicious. Typical. Knew it. That's who they really are. The same kids who laughed at Logan's jokes last month now distanced themselves with speed. No one wanted to ask what provoked the fight. That wasn't trending. Ella sat in class, heart heavy and throat dry. She didn't like Logan. He'd laughed when Nia was pushed. He'd done nothing when she'd stood alone. But still, something didn't sit right. The way he had stood there, tight, cornered, silent, wasn't bravado. It was survival. That night, she sat at her desk and stared at her phone. A new version of the video had appeared, now edited with slow motion and a pulsing bass line, like a trailer for a villain's origin story. The boy who was punched had already gained sympathy online. His family was reportedly threatening legal action. No one asked if he'd instigated it. No one cared. At 9:43 p.m., Ella's phone buzzed. Nia. They're saying it was self-defense, she said softly. Apparently, the other kid made a comment about Logan's sister, then threw a plastic water bottle at him. Was that caught on video? Ella asked. Number, just the punch. Always just the punch. Ella se tragó con fuerza. It's the same thing again. People only see what they want to see. There was a pause. Then Nia said, "It's not fair." No, Ella agreed, but it's familiar. On Monday, tension pulsed through the school like electricity under the floor. Rumors surged. Logan had been expelled, suspended, arrested. Students picked sides in whispers and glances. The administration posted vague memos about behavior and community, but the halls didn't calm down. Even teachers looked uncertain. A few tried to hold discussions in class, but they fell apart under defensiveness and discomfort. One kid said Logan deserved it. Another muttered something about white boys snapping. Ella noticed the fatigue growing in Nia's eyes. She walked quieter now. Her replies were shorter. The weight of it all seemed to drag behind her like a second backpack. That afternoon, Principal Henderson called Ella into her office. Her tone was careful, but not condescending. "I know you turned down the assembly invitation last month," she said, "but we need a voice the students trust, someone who's been in the middle, someone who understands what it means to be seen and to be misjudged." "I'm not a leader," Ella said quietly. "That's why they'll listen," Henderson replied. Ella left the office unsure. Not unsure about what she believed, but unsure if anyone still wanted to hear it. That night, she opened her notebook and didn't write a speech. She wrote a sentence. People say silence is neutral, but silence shapes the story just as much as the camera angle. And she realized this story wasn't over. Not yet. The announcement came during first period on a Wednesday. There would be a special student-led assembly during 8th period, and attendance was mandatory. The air in Lincoln High buzzed with speculation. Some students groaned, assuming it was another anti-bullying lecture. Others whispered rumors about what it might really be about. Logan, the fight, the silence that had settled like dust over the school in the past week. But no one expected Ella Thompson to be the one standing behind the podium when the lights dimmed and the room fell quiet. She had almost backed out. 3 times, actually. Once while standing outside the main office that morning, once in the library when Nia squeezed her hand and said, "You don't owe anyone this," and once, just moments before stepping onto the auditorium stage, when her knees locked and her breath caught. But then she remembered something her brother Nate had told her the night before, when she was still debating whether to go through with it. "You're scared?" he asked. She nodded. "Good," he'd said. "If you weren't scared, it wouldn't mean anything." Now, standing under the warm spotlight, the weight of hundreds of eyes pressing down on her, Ella exhaled. The microphone squeaked. The sound was sharper than she expected. She adjusted it, looked down at her notes, and then didn't use them. "I'm not here to give a speech," she said. "I'm here because I almost walked away." She paused. The room held its breath. "I almost walked away when I saw someone get pushed to the ground for no reason. I almost told myself it wasn't my problem. That if I stayed quiet, it would blow over. That if I spoke up, I'd get dragged down with her. That maybe I'd become the next target. And I'm not gonna lie. Some of those things happened. People talked. People twisted the story. But the truth didn't change." Her voice trembled once, but she steadied it. "What we tolerate, we normalize. What we ignore, we excuse. And what we choose not to see still happens. It just happens without resistance." A rustle moved through the crowd, like a collective shifting forward. I didn't stand up to be brave. I stood up because someone needed to feel like they weren't alone. Because silence isn't neutral. It's agreement. And I won't agree with cruelty. Not anymore. She stepped back from the mic. For a moment, the auditorium stayed still. Then the applause began. Not explosive, but steady, like rain beginning to fall. A sound that grew, second by second, until the walls echoed with it. Teachers stood. Students rose slowly. Even the principal wiped the corner of her eye. Afterward, Ella walked down the steps into the crowd. Nia was waiting near the exit. She didn't say anything, just pulled Ella into a tight, wordless hug. Then someone else stepped forward. A freshman girl, eyes shy, sleeves tugged down over her wrists. She didn't speak either, just handed Ella a folded slip of paper and walked away. Inside, "Because of you, I asked for help." Ella cerró los ojos por un momento. Let the words sink in. The days that followed didn't magically fix the school. Logan's case was still under review. Gossip didn't stop. Not everyone clapped. Not everyone agreed. But something had changed. A group of students launched a peer mentorship group. Nia began holding weekly poetry readings in the library. Ella volunteered to co-lead a support circle for underclassmen who felt unheard. And people showed up. Not because someone told them to, but because someone made it feel possible. On a quiet Friday, Ella and Nia sat under the old oak behind the school, their backpacks resting at their feet. They didn't talk about what had happened anymore. They didn't need to. "You think it was worth it?" Nia asked, not looking at her. Ella pensó por un segundo. "Yeah," she said. "I think it was." "What if it all happens again?" Ella sonrió. "Then we show up again." That night, at home, she opened her notebook one last time. No essays, no quotes. Just a single line she traced slowly, carefully, like stitching a thread through her own skin. Courage doesn't always sound like a roar. Sometimes it's just someone whispering, "Not today," and someone else hearing it. And somewhere, in a hallway not far from where it began, another girl picked up her bag, lifted her chin, and decided to stop pretending she didn't see.